Hey, Randy Hunter here from BeginningSax.com. In this Beginning Sax Quick Tips video, I want to talk with you about the importance of practicing with good time and good rhythm right from the beginning. In fact, if you think about it, the most important things about great sax playing, great music in general, is the sound and the rhythm. You know, that's what really makes the music quality. So I know a lot of folks dread practicing with a metronome, and a lot of people don't really know how to quite get started with the metronome. Now, if you're using my Beginning Sax lesson series, available at beginningsax.com, by the way, I have you practicing in that series with a metronome right from the beginning with the written exercises. So if you're reading music, metronome is great for helping to keep you honest, helping make sure you're playing with good rhythm and good tempo. Now, the difference between rhythm is we've got rhythms, we've got notes that get a certain amount of value, and then tempo is consistency with the beat. So both of these things are important. The metronome will help you achieve that. Now, I know a lot of times I have folks that come in to their lessons and that are beginners especially, and I ask them if they've been practicing with the metronome. They say, well, no, I've been just really focusing on getting the notes. Now, that's important. You know, you might need to take a little bit of time to get the notes on whatever it is you're working on kind of in your hands, but then as quickly as possible, put on that metronome and start practicing with the metronome. Now, if you've gone through some of these beginning sax tips videos I've got, you know that one of the things we did was learn the G scale, and we've also learned the scale in thirds. So I thought we might take a little bit of both of those things, both the G scale and the scale in thirds, and just work with them with a metronome for a moment so that you can see how to go about doing this. Now, I've got my metronome here on my phone, and I've got a Bluetooth speaker so I can turn it up to a volume where I can hear it easily while I'm playing. A lot of times, if you have just a metronome on your phone, it might not really be quite loud enough to hear for you to hear once you start playing. So don't be afraid to turn that metronome up to a reasonable volume, because you definitely want to hear that click while you're playing. I've got I've got mine set at 72 for what we're going to do today. You can start as low as 60 on your exercises. 60 is a reasonable tempo to start with. It's hard to start much slower than that, because if you think about it, slow beats, there's a lot of room in there for error. I mean, the faster the beat is, a lot less room for error in that. So, while I like starting slow, relatively slow, you know, 60 to 72, somewhere in there, that's a good starting range. I don't like to start folks with a metronome much slower than that, just because it's so hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the G major scale. And again, you can check out my sax tips video if you don't know that one right off the bat. And I'm going to turn the metronome on 72, and I'm going to hold each note for 2 clicks exactly. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the metronome, and I'm going to really feel the pulse. I'm going to feel the beat before I start playing. So check this out. So hopefully you could tell that I was exactly with the metronome. My notes were hitting exactly on the click, not a little before, not a little after. If I hadn't been right on it, I would have stopped and gotten reoriented with the tempo again with the click before I started playing. Now, that's very important that you work to be exactly with the metronome. Now, I'm going to play the G scale again, and this time I'll do it in quarter notes. That means I'm going to play one note per click, one note per beat. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the metronome, I'm going to feel the tempo again, and then I'll start playing. Now I'll do the same thing with the scale in thirds. If you remember the scale in thirds, it sounds kind of like etc. You can check out the Sax Tips video that'll teach you that one. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the metronome, and again, I'm going to do two beats per note. So I'll be doing this in half notes at first. Now, of course, I could put the metronome back on and play it in quarter notes, and I'll let you do that in the practice room on your own. But you may have noticed that that as I took a breath, I made sure to breathe in time so that I was not late on the next note. So I'd shortchange a note to catch my breath so that the next note was right on time. So you got to make sure that you don't let your breathing interfere with the tempo or with your rhythm. And of course, you know, the better you get, the faster you can move your fingers, the faster you can think and play, the faster you can set the metronome. And you might even try working at both directions, speed the slower at times, faster at times. And again, like I mentioned, the really slow tempos like 40 can be much more difficult than the faster tempos like 100. So be sure that you're making the metronome an important part of your practice, because it's really crucial in developing your ability to play with good rhythm and good time. Oh, now be sure to visit my website, beginningsax.com, and if you're using my Beginning Sax series of lessons already, that's great. If you're not, you might want to consider those, and once you're done with those, once you've worked through those, or even before if you feel like it, you can start checking out my jazz improv lessons too. And I've got one that you might really be interested in called Jazz Sound and Style, and I also have a lesson called Metronome Obsession. That's one of the more advanced lessons that'll help you through some advanced metronome techniques. Okay, take care.